Gunsmoke, Book 1, Chapter 4, Home Surgery. The wind came back to Dodge without rain this time, dry, sharp, and restless, the kind of wind that cuts corners off buildings and tempers off men. By noon, dust was walking the streets again, kicking up what the storm had washed clean just a week before. Marshal Matt Dillon sat his horse outside the telegraph office, reading the trail the wind left. A broken shutter here, a paper dancing there, the smell of trouble hiding under it all. He'd learned that silence in Dodge was never peace. It was only distance between echoes. "Mr. Dillon," called Chester, running from the stable, out of breath and out of excuses. "What is it, Chester?" "A rider come in from the north. Says there's been a shootin' out past Pawnee Creek. Couple ranch hands at a line shack, arguin' over cards. One's dead, other one's missin'." Matt sighed. "Then I guess we're not missing the excitement." He swung into the saddle, eyes narrowing against the wind. "Tell Doc he might be needed," he said. Chester nodded. "You want me along?" "Not this time," Matt said. "Trail's rough. And somebody needs to keep Dodge from turning wild while I'm gone." Chester frowned. "That ain't easy work." Matt smiled. "I know. That's why I'm giving it to you." The lonely ride. By late afternoon, the plains stretched out wide and empty. The trail was half mud, half memory. Matt rode alone, the sun low behind him, his shadow stretching long enough to look like company. He found the cabin near dusk, a small broken thing leaning into the wind. The door hung loose, smoke still whispered from the chimney, but there was no sound from inside. Matt dismounted, walked in slow, hand on his gun. Inside, a table overturned, a deck of cards scattered, one lantern still burning, and blood, dry in places, fresh in others. He moved quiet, eyes sweeping every corner, then saw it. A man on the floor, motionless, pale, dead. Another trail of blood led out the back door. Matt followed it. Whoever was hurt had gone north, staggering, bleeding, desperate. The light was almost gone when the shot came. It hit him in the side, low and mean, knocking the air clean out of him. He fired back once, a flash in the dark, but the world had already started to tilt. He fell to one knee, clutching his ribs, breathing through his teeth. The ground was cold. The sky turned heavy. He managed to crawl to his horse, half blind, half praying. "Easy, boy," he gasped. "We're not done yet." Then he climbed into the saddle and rode into the night, bleeding, swaying, and refusing to fall. The woman and the door. It was close to midnight when he saw a light, a cabin window glowing faint in the dark. He rode toward it, barely hanging on. A woman's voice answered his knock, wary and tired. "Who's there?" "Marshal Dillon, from Dodge." The door opened slow. A young woman stood there, plain, strong, with eyes that measured truth faster than words. Her name, he would learn later, was Hannah Kelver. "You're hurt," she said, stepping aside. "I've been better," he managed. He stumbled in. She caught his arm before he could hit the floor. "Sit," she ordered. "You're bleeding bad." Matt sank into the chair by the fire. Blood soaked through his coat and dripped on the floorboards. "I can't help much," she said, looking pale. "Ain't no doctor here. Doc Adams'll come when he can. If I can get word to him, you won't last that long," she said, tearing a bedsheet into strips. He tried to argue, failed. She worked fast, hands trembling, but steady enough. The bullet had gone deep. The firelight caught her face. Fear there, yes, but something steadier under it. "You done this before?" he asked through gritted teeth. I've fixed fences, skinned deer, and stitched shirts. A man's skin can't be much harder." "You'd be surprised," he groaned. She smiled faintly. "You're talking." "That's a good sign." Doc on the trail, back in Dodge. Doc Adams had already heard the news. Chester burst into his office, shouting before he'd even opened the door. "Doc, Matt's been shot, out near Pawnee Creek." Doc froze, pipe halfway to his mouth. "What?" "Ryder come in saying he saw him heading north, bleeding bad." Doc didn't ask more. He was already packing scalpel, whiskey, bandages, and a revolver he never liked to use but always brought. "Get my horse ready," he barked. "It's dark, Doc." "Then light the moon yourself, Chester." By the time the first light touched the plains, Doc was already half a day out. The operation. In the cabin, Matt drifted in and out of sleep. Dreams came in pieces, gunfire, rain, the sound of Kitty's voice from far away. Every time he tried to sit up, Hannah pushed him back. "You'll tear it open again," she said. "You need to lie still." "I don't lie still easy." "Well, try. You ain't got much choice." By mid-morning, his fever was high, and his breathing came ragged. Hannah sat beside him, changing the cloth on his forehead. She'd never met a man like him, steady even in pain, quiet even in dying. Outside, the wind had dropped. Inside, time slowed to the rhythm of his pulse. She heard the hoofbeats first, a single rider coming fast. Then a voice, sharp, familiar. "Matt, you in there?" She opened the door. "Doc Adams," she said, relief flooding her face. Doc pushed past her. "Where is he?" She pointed. "Over there." He's bad. Doc knelt beside Matt, eyes quick, hands quicker. "Bullet's still in," he muttered. "Infection setting in." "Damn fool didn't wait for me." Matt cracked a grin. "Didn't have time to send an invitation." "Next time you get shot, do it closer to town," Doc growled. He pulled whiskey from his bag and poured half on the wound, half down Matt's throat. "This is gonna hurt." "Doc, they always do." He worked for an hour. Sweat, blood, silence. Hannah held the lamp, pale but steady. Outside the wind howled again, as if the prairie itself was holding its breath. When it was done, Doc sat back, exhausted. "He'll live," he said, "if he listens." Matt opened one eye. "I never do." "Then I'll stay till you start." The long night. That night, rain whispered against the windows again, gentle this time. Hannah sat by the fire, watching Matt sleep. Doc snored softly in the corner, hat over his eyes. The room smelled of smoke, blood, and hope. She'd never thought her small cabin would hold all three. After a while she spoke, mostly to herself. "You lawman, you chase trouble like it's gold." Matt stirred, eyes half open. "Somebody's got to." "Ain't it ever enough?" "Never is." She smiled sadly. "You sound like my husband." Matt blinked. "He out here?" She looked away. "Buried behind the barn. Fever took him last winter. Silence settled, kind but heavy." "You saved my life," Matt said quietly. "Maybe," she answered, "but you'll owe me more if you die anyway." He laughed weakly. "Fair enough." Home by morning, the fever broke. Doc packed his bag, muttering about heroes and fools. "You'll be weak for a spell," he told Matt. "Spell's all I've got," Matt said. Hannah stood in the doorway as they saddled up. The prairie was wide and golden again, calm after the storm. Matt looked at her. "You got a good place here?" "It's lonely," she said. He nodded. "Lonely keeps a person honest." Doc climbed on his horse. "You ready?" Matt winced as he mounted. "Not really." "Good. Means you're still human," Doc said. As they rode off, Hannah watched until they disappeared into the distance. The dust settled behind them like the end of a story, one she'd remember every time the wind came back. Dodge City. By the time they reached Dodge, the sun was setting again. Chester ran out to meet them. "Mr. Dillon, you look like you've been dug up and sent home for a refund." "Thanks, Chester. Good to see you, too." Kitty came out from the saloon, arms crossed but smiling. "You trying to make me older, Matt Dillon?" "Guess I'm just testing your patience." "You're winning," she said. Doc patted his horse's neck. "He'll be fine if he doesn't sneeze, breathe too hard, or think about working." Matt smirked. "Then I'm doomed." They all laughed, and for the first time in days, Dodge sounded alive again. Narrator's closing note. Out here, men bleed, heal, and ride again, because the land asks it of them. The prairie gives no medals, and mercy comes slow. But sometimes, in a cabin far from law or luck, a stranger's hands can stitch a man's life back together. That night, as the wind carried the smell of rain through Dodge, Marshal Matt Dillon slept easy for the first time in a long while. Not because he was safe, but because he remembered home isn't a place. It's the people who pull you through the dark. End of Chapter 4. Home Surgery.